the universe did put me on my arse a few times.
We were both dancing with the devil in hell, where our health was concerned.
Got goosebumps.
Yeah. It's been a long time since we did a video.
Very long time.
All of like 10-15 minutes. Ladies and gents, welcome back to this video with myself, Lucy Davis, and the beautiful Clair Tebbut. We are going to be speaking today about the journey to healing yourself. Now, we've already done a video on the power of plants, and I don't know which way these videos are going to go out. I'm going to see how my intuition, the way my intuitive nature takes us. But Clair, let's presuppose that people haven't seen the power of plants, and if you could just give us a little bit of an introduction to you, and then I'm going to add some bits about you.
Okay, so hi everyone. I've known Lucy for about 25 years. We used to go partying, and I'm sure you've heard all those stories. We didn't really lose touch, did we? It was more that sort of everyone went their separate ways. And I started following Lucy's journey in about 2015, maybe 2014, when I joined Facebook after, everyone else did like 10 years ago. I was a bit of a technophobe then. And I just watched how her healing journey progressed. And she went from being this, I'm going to say it was an absolute mess, wasn't it? That, yeah, your body was a mess. And you went from strength to strength and just healed your body. And I was going through something very, very similar. And I wanted that.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah,
that's fair. So I've known Claire, like she says, for many years. Her boyfriend's a DJ, so our paths crossed on the party scene for many years. We did go off in our own separate ways. I was chasing the career, I was chasing the money. I was that girl. I wanted the big bright lights of London and everywhere else around the world. And I got to the point, obviously, where my physical vessel burnt out, and then I went on this really beautiful healing journey. And I make no secret of my healing journey, because a lot of people around the world know me to be this powerful, strong, spiritual mentor to a lot of people. I don't really like that term, as most of you know, and a lot of people don't know the journey that it's taken to get there, or they presuppose the journey, or they just think that is the way that I was born. And it wasn't the case. And I truly believe with a lot of the star seeds and light workers around the world, that isn't the case. Like, don't get me wrong, there's some powerful people that incarnated and they've remained true to how they incarnated. But there's a lot of us that had to go through the murkiness. We had to step through our karma. We had to go through a huge healing journey personally for us to be able to be the bright beings that we are today. And Claire is no different to that. So Claire is not only a good friend of mine, she's one of my coaches within Self-Love Club and my business. And also she is a key part of the organisation of Soul School. Claire's involved in all of that. And another thing that happened at the most recent Soul School is that I actually lent on Claire a lot. You may have seen some of the photos whereby when I'm doing the meditations, I'm walking around, I'm helping people break through, I'm just like speaking to their soul and getting it to evolve and all this kind of stuff. And Claire is somebody that I asked at the last event in Manchester to work with me. And Claire is an amazing healer. And so I want to bring that up into consciousness today, is that Claire is a very, very powerful lady. And it's not because she just woke up and she had these gifts. She's been to hell and back to get that. And that's what I want to share a little bit today, because you are right, Claire, our journeys are very similar. We were both dancing with the devil in hell, where our health was concerned. That's fair to say, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we fueled the fire.
Yeah, of course,
because we didn't realize, we didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why there is never to be any judgment with any of the topics that I talk about, or any of the subjects that we share on this channel or my Instagram. Now, some people, because I'm quite blunt and quite brutal and quite harsh with my words, they will feel that there is judgment, or they will feel that maybe it's a little bit mean or a little bit harsh or whatever. But the fundamental truth of the matter is I will never judge anyone, because trust me, I've been there. I was that girl that used to party so hard, you know, and even though my body told me, go home, Lucy, and just rest and, you know, eat good foods and all the rest of it, I didn't do that. You know, I was the girl that would get home on a Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and have like a massive Pizza Hut pizza with like pepperoni and ham and chunky tomatoes and stuff on it, because my body was so depleted from having been partying all weekend. I just needed to get food into my belly, you know, like feed me quickly, not recognizing that not only the alcohol and the drugs and the dancing all weekend, and, you know, God knows what else I was doing at that time, was actually impacting my body, so creating dis-ease. And then on top of that, putting this kind of food in there was creating even more dis-ease within the body. And, you know, like, some people would sit there and be like, oh, well, Lucy, surely it was obvious. No, it wasn't obvious back then. Like, how many people do you see walking down the streets, like tucking into a McDonald's burger or tucking into a Domino's pizza or something with not a care in the world? They don't get it either. Like, they're at a point where they don't get it. Thankfully, at some point, I had to get it. My awakening, and I think that this was Claire's awakening as well, or our reminder to reawaken for the second time, was about losing our health, shedding everything that we knew, everything that we valued, for something that is, from my opinion, better. You know, yes, I had a right laugh back then. I don't regret any of those days that I had, but now I live such a more pleasant, fulfilled life, because I choose the right things for my body. So Claire, let's talk a little bit about your journey, because everybody hears my journey all the time. Let's talk about how your journey evolved from kind of like back in the days where we used to party, and then how that obviously stemmed into you being diagnosed with some very, very serious chronic diseases.
Yeah, so to be fair, I actually sort of probably stopped partying. Everyone, it came to the year 2000, I think, and all the music changed. I think that was probably the point you went off to London then. I moved to London a couple of years later, and actually it was work, 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 work. So very, very similar. The partying stopped for me, but it was work, 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 work. And, you know, the universe did put me on my ass a few times, but, you know, we don't recognize that. We just get back to ourselves and get back on with it. Anyway, that sort of went on for a little while. And in 2016, I was going to Thailand, and everybody had said to me, you know, you need to get the typhoid and hepatitis A thing. And I just had this really strong feeling that I didn't want it. And even John said to me, this is my partner, he said, look, if you don't have it, we're not going. So went and had it, and within a week I was on the floor. I literally couldn't hold any food in. I couldn't even drink water without any pain. It was like I had burning hot rocks there, even drinking water. Anyway, that sort of subsided. It didn't get better, but it sort of subsided a bit. And then we went on holiday, and I came back, and literally it hit me. I couldn't keep anything in either way. I got down to about 6.5 stone. My blood levels had dropped so much. I literally couldn't walk. You know, I was out of breath after sort of just walking down the hallway.
Wow.
And we just got to the point where it's like, well, better go to hospital, just because nothing's getting better. And within, they said, I think I had about 2 days left. If I hadn't have gone to hospital, that I wouldn't have been here. And for about 2 years after that, I was having lots and lots of medication, so steroids, antibiotics, anti-inflammatories, and then they put me on cancer drugs. So all these medication, and it still wasn't getting any better. So I had to look at different ways of healing. Wow. I mean, there's probably there's a couple of times there where my blood got so low that, same with yourself, I probably shouldn't be here, really.
Yeah,
I'm here for a reason, thank you. But most people don't survive the levels that both you and I have been at.
Absolutely. Now, like I have so much love for you when you share your story, and I know that this is probably the second time that you're going to share it publicly, the last one being on the video that we've just spoken about a minute ago. I have so much love for this because I remember that phone call that you made to me in 2018, and I remember saying to you, like, oh, you know, I'll pop in and see you, like, I'm in Bournemouth, I'll pop in and see you. And I remember you saying to me, like, I'm not sure I'm strong enough. And I said, well, look, you decide. And then you were like, no, I need to see you. And I remember coming into your place, and I remember getting this message, you know, and
Got goosebumps.
yeah, I'll never forget it, into your old apartment. And I walked in and I got this, you have to act quick because she hasn't got long. And it was hideous, absolutely hideous. Like, this is an old friend. Didn't matter that we weren't that close at that point. You know, it was an old friend that had reached out to me. And, you know, the fix of the rescuer will always be inside me, although I control it a lot better these days. And, you know, I have to for my own safety and my own sanity. But at that point, I was like, how am I going to help this person? Like, I know I have gifts that I can tap into. Like, I know I need to help this person. And I still didn't really know how to work with my gifts properly back then. And I remember sitting in Claire's apartment, and she was telling me that she had this blood disease and she had this and she had that. And I was like, no, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. That's not what it is. That's not what it is. Not belittling her, but it was just the messages I was getting. No, this isn't the truth. Like, she hasn't been told the truth. And I actually got quite frustrated. And I don't know if you remember this, Claire, but I think we were sat there having a herbal tea or a juice or something like that. And I was like, oh, can I just use your bathroom for a moment, please? And I went to the toilet, and I was like, I said to my guides, I'm like, will you just give me something? Like, just give me something to help her, because, like, come on, I can see she's so poorly. Like, oh, you were so poorly. Like, you were so poorly at that point. And I was getting so frustrated. And then I thought, oh God, what if she can hear me in the toilet, like having this freaking, like, throwing my toys out my pram with my guides. Anyway, I flushed the toilet, and I was like, oh my God, like, I just can't believe that the one time I really need you to just tap in right now, you're not working with me. And as I walked out of the bathroom door, I got this boom, this download of everything that needed to take place. And I don't remember if I actually told you at that point what I thought it was.
You didn't tell me what it was. You told me what I needed to do.
Yeah. Okay.
And that saved my life.
Yeah. And what was so fascinating is that this was on like the Thursday or something, and I was flying to Barcelona to speak to be at a conference where I was on stage, literally on the Saturday and Sunday. So actually, no, I think it was the Tuesday, because Claire tried to argue with me for maybe 24 hours that she wasn't going to do the protocol. And I was like, fine, I'll do it with you. I'll do it with you. So I started doing the things that I'd suggested to her. And then I think it was the Thursday, you were like, fine, okay, you know, I'm going to do it. And the Friday or the Thursday evening, whenever it was, I landed in Barcelona to a beautiful message. And it was like 24 hours after Claire started. And do you want to share what happened, or?
Yeah, close your ears if you don't want to hear. No, I'm joking. I passed the biggest parasite you've ever seen. And literally, the doctors have been telling me it was colitis. They didn't want to listen that it was anything else. And even after that point, I even took this thing to show them. Yeah. And they still weren't having any of it. And it was at that point that I knew that, you know, as much as I love the nurses in the hospital were absolutely amazing. I just didn't have faith in doctors anymore.
Yeah. So like, I'm fascinated. I love this journey so much, because I knew, looking at Claire, something needed to be done, and it needed to be done quickly. The medication was hurting her. It wasn't doing any favors for her. And Claire was like, I'm not taking it. I'm not going to do this, not going to do that. But then there was something in Claire's soul that was a bit nervous about the protocol that I had basically channeled walking out of her toilet door in my moment of frustration, because it wasn't happening in the timescale that I wanted it to. But again, that's another lesson in being humble, right? But it was literally maybe the second day that you were doing this protocol that you sent me this message, and I burst into tears on the plane. I literally switched my phone on as I was touching down in Barcelona, and I was meeting my old assistant Donna there. And I just put it on, and I just read this message, and I burst into tears, because I was like, oh my God, we've done it. We've saved her. Thank you so much. And I felt so humbled. And then you sent me a picture. Because that's what friends do, right?
Evidence.
But what is so powerful of this, Claire? I mean, that was back in November 2018. what's been powerful about this is obviously you've been on a huge journey since then. I know that you're qualified in lots of different areas of Reiki, and you've aligned your physical body and your mental and your emotional and your spiritual body. And I actually feel now that we are looking at the best version of Clair Tebbut that we've seen so far this lifetime. I'm not saying that she's not going to get better and more improved and all the rest of it. Like, obviously that's your journey, but I think we're looking at the best version that I've seen since I've known you from when we were younger. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's still that ego there. I mean, when you mentioned about being in soul school, and I came to sort of help, when you're helping people break through, and there was still that little voice that said, no, you're not there yet, you're not good enough. And I had to sort of kickstart myself and say, no, this is your time now. Because I had a reading last year with the beautiful Donna Maxine. She's an amazing sort of tarot and psychic reader in Bournemouth, and she actually told me then, I mean, she put her hands over mine and the heat was just so intense. She actually said to me, she said, you're here to heal people. And I had that M on my hand as well, which I know you have as well, Lucy, that you're here to help mankind. And I was like, oh, no pressure then. I was hoping to get away with it and hoping that I was wrong. And
no, you weren't. I remember the conversation in November 2018, and you were like, I want my gifts back. And I'm like, leave it with me, girlfriend.
My gifts. But then on the other hand, it was like, oh shit, now if you're going to give me these gifts, I've got to use them, haven't I?
Got to step up.
yeah. So, and I think the soul school, just the recent one we did, was the kick that I needed to actually realize how powerful I am. Because I remember you saying, I think the first self-love club that you did in Bournemouth, was that 2018?
Yeah.
The seminar.
Was it 2017?
I remember you saying then.
It was very early. It was either 2000. It must have been
that time.
Yeah, at some point at that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember you pointing me out and saying, and she's a powerful healer. And I just went, that I'm not. I'd only just started having like Reiki from my Reiki lady, but I found what she did was so amazing that I was like, yeah, you want to do that. It was just, and I knew that's why I had to go and see her. She just knew, she just by feeling my body, she knew where to put her hands. I mean, she always used to go here, and this isn't actually, I know you can't see me, I'll just stand up. She used to go here. And that's not a particular point in the energy centers. And that is where my pain used to be.
Wow.
And so, yeah. So it just shows how powerful it is when you connect in.
Yeah, and this is the whole point of what I wanted to do this video about today. Like, I like to explain to people why people are on my videos, because, like when you talk about somebody, being able to create healing, Claire has created healing in her body. She was vulnerable enough to reach out to me. I had created healing in my body. Claire had witnessed that, and she went, I want some of that. Like, I need to ask. So that takes a level of vulnerability and a level of, dropping the ego to be able to say, hey, I need some help right now. So Claire went through that process, which for us girls is quite a tough one. It's not easy for us to put our hand up and ask for help. And then obviously Claire surrendered to the journey herself. She started her physical healing and then recognized and remembered, hey, hang on a minute, Claire, your energy. Now, all I do with people on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, with my clients, with the seminars that I run, everything, is I feel the energy in the room. I feel what people need. And I'm lucky, I think people get in their heads about this. I don't think I think everybody, more to the point, can do this. I think every single person on the planet can feel into the energy, surrender to it, and go with it if they choose to do that. Now, a lot of people get in their heads about it. A lot of people go, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. And obviously Claire had this reminder that, oh, right, okay, now I've shifted this, my energy is feeling more free. So now I need to go and find somebody to give me Reiki. And actually then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in aligned to energy healing. And, although I'm qualified Reiki healer, I don't ever talk about that. Like, I talk about energy. I know that any of us can help shift the energy within each other, within animals, within the land. All of us can do exactly the same. So your healing journey has been absolutely massive, Claire. Like, it's been so huge. And I think you're probably, tell me if I'm being unfair here, but I think you're probably the healthiest that you've been for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, you can see it in my face. I mean, I know I look a little bit pale because we've had no sunshine and it is winter here. But no, my skin is, it's so smooth, and it is, you probably can't see it, but it is glowing, and like my hair, just, yeah, and my body's working how it should be, just, yeah, everything.
So I think it's fair to say, because this is definitely the case for myself, I had to get my physical body in alignment first. And then all of a sudden, I realized I had all of these gifts. Is that fair
Yeah.
to say for you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because when you're not when you're ill, I mean, I don't know if you feel the same way, but you end up blocking yourself
Yep.
because you're so focused on the illness, I would say. But yeah, it wasn't until I got sort of physically healthy, then started getting like the messages through and all that sort of stuff, and the energy started flowing like it should. I mean, I even now, if we were talking about eating bread earlier. If I now eat too much of that sort of stuff, I will
Feel a
I
block.
will not get clear messages or those visions.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And
Mm.
actually, there's many things that impact this. So interrupted sleep, like that can stop you connecting. Too much sugar, too much alcohol, any of these things can really create a block. Now, if you are living in a complete conscious state, like a beautiful conscious relationship, and your life is conscious, yes, you have to dip into the 3D to go to the supermarket and stuff like that. But if you are living in a 100% conscious state, you will find that some of these things just block you from time to time. And in your meditation, maybe you're not as visionary or whatever. For me personally, if I don't exercise enough, I know the divine's like, get your butt to the gym and we'll communicate with you. Get your ass out on the beach and we'll communicate with you. Like, for me, that's when my best downloads come through. That said, I get downloads constantly. I go out for dinner with people and all of a sudden I'm like, oh God. And all of a sudden it's like, oh God, what's going to come out of my mouth? So, but I truly believe it's because your vessel needs to be as clean as it possibly can be, removing the dis-ease, removing these blockages that we have physically created within ourselves to allow the energy to go through. So Claire, talk to me about the experience that you've got in regards to a Reiki, because as far as I'm aware, you've got about 10 different Reikis that you're qualified in, right?
Yeah, well, do you know how it started? So, I loved my Kundalini yoga. And because I loved Reiki, I was like, there must be a way of bringing the two together. And literally, I'm just going to Google it. And the first thing I saw was Kundalini Reiki. And I was like, wow, I've never heard of that. And it works in the same. I mean, it works in the same way. It's basically just that lightweight energy. They're just different masters that you bring in. And I got attuned to fairy Reiki quite recently, as I just felt this connection with it. I didn't even know it existed again. I was just looking for fairy healing because, as you discovered for me last year that I was part fairy, so the fairy realm. So I just felt that this was a really lovely thing to be able to just connect in with them and bring those in. I mean, I'm sort of very much like you in the sense that I actually don't feel that you need Reiki per se. The issue we have in this country, in the UK, is you need your certificates to get the public liability and all that sort of stuff. So, and it's like you were saying, that everybody has this energy within them. And I think a lot of the time it's confidence in knowing. And we're all looking for something outside of ourselves.
Yeah, I think you're right. I feel once you have learned how to feel your own energy, you can help anybody. Like, when you walk in a room and somebody's in a bad mood, when you walk in a room and somebody's bouncing off the walls, like, and I'm not talking by their actions, if you closed your eyes, you can feel it in their energy field. And that's what we're talking about here. Like, I know, and I do this with David all the time. You probably do it with John. I'll just be sat there and all of a sudden I'll just touch him in a place on his body and he's like, how did you, and then he just kind of stops himself, because it's just there's just something there that just needs a little bit of energy shifting, or it just needs a little bit of heat coming in. And as I'm talking about this, my hands are heating up just nicely, so clearly there's something going on here. But it's about surrendering to that. It's about recognizing what's your energy field and recognizing what's other people's energy fields, because sometimes we do have this crossover and our partner's energy becomes our energy and whatever. And that's where really the gold starts to take place, is that you recognize that we all have our own energy field and we don't need to get involved in it, but we obviously can get involved in it. You know, like obviously we're going to cross boundaries and get into our partner's energy field. But likewise, when you have somebody that wants something from you, like, you don't actually have to give it to them. You know, I get asked a lot of the time, oh, Lucy, can you help me with this? Lucy, can you do this? Lucy, can you decide this for me? Like, what would you do in my situation? And I just have to be like, this is not my stuff. Because if I answered every single person that wanted me to answer them, then I'd never get any work done. I'd never be able to help my clients. I'd never be able to do the programs or these kind of videos. So, but that's just about time. That's just about the amount of time that you've lived with your energy, and you recognize its energy and what feels good and what doesn't feel good. Now, that aside, I love the fact that you're humble and you're like, oh, I'm not ready for this at Soul School. Like, I know you are so ready for this. Like, I knew this years ago. I knew that I needed to help you get physically better so that you can be the person that you got sent down here to do. Like, I know that you've got such a huge mission down here, Claire. And that's why I asked you to do this video with me today, because I do feel it's important that people know your healing journey, but I also feel it's really important that people know where they can find you and how they can reach out to you for healing. Now, Claire's a bit of a bugger. She's a bit like myself, and she wants to do everything for free and she wants to give everything away. And on a couple of occasions, I've said, no, you're not charging that, put your bloody prices up. Because what happens with a lot of very gifted people, they feel guilty for having these gifts, guilty for charging. And so, you know, I think it's through this month, isn't it? You've got a very, very, very special offer taking place.
Yes. So what I've said is, because I think I've got about 2 spaces left for this month.
Oh wow.
It's yeah, I'm overwhelmed. So thank you, everyone. But what I've said is, if anyone books this month for April, I will hold that price for them.
Okay. Oh wow, that's exciting. So we could have April booked out as well.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, just explain to us what that offer actually is, Claire. What does it entail?
Okay, so what I do is I will do a little bit of emotion code healing as well. So for people that don't know what the emotion code is, I don't like to call it the emotion code. I basically like to just call it releasing trapped emotions. And I just want to put out there that this is different to emotional trauma. The trapped emotions are just like those little bubbles that you might have fallen over one day and you were angry at the time, and they still get trapped in your body and they can cause issues. I'll let Lucy talk about the emotional trauma if she wants to a little bit later. So this is what the emotion code does. And I do it on my dog quite a lot because he's a rescue. Yeah, and bless him, he's got his, he had his issues, but even like it pinpointed that he felt a failure for being neutered, and I was just like, wow, because yeah. So it will just pick out lots of little things, and they're like little air bubbles, and you just feel them ping, and you will get, usually you'll get a little memory for when you did that. So I do that. I'll also draw a card for you, and then I will do the energy healing. So whatever I'm guided to do, whether it's the Kundalini, the Celestine, the Fairy. I also do, so there's a gentleman master, Stephen Coe. He basically, his thing is your hands can heal you, which we know. So I can scan the body, and if there's an area that's a little bit sticky, he uses this thing, it's just called a doggy paddle. I love the terminology in this book. And it scrapes away the dirty prana that's blocked up and will help the energy flow as well.
So essentially what we're saying is it's a bit of emotional code release, then it's a card, and it's a bit of Reiki. And how long are the sessions, Claire?
So they'll last about an hour.
An hour. And
so
how much?
Normally I wouldn't do the two together. For this, it's 22.22. But I would normally split them. I would normally do the energy healing on its own, and I would, you know, if you wanted the emotion code and the energy healing, that would be a separate price.
So basically you're getting an hour for £22.22, which is ridiculous. Most people in the UK charge about £75 for Reiki healing. So ladies and gents, I'm assuming you do this distance, Claire, distant healing.
Yes, I do. I mean, if anybody's in sort of the Bournemouth area, I do it in person. But the incredible thing is the online, or the distance healing has just gone incredibly well. I never planned on doing distance healing, but you know, I think again after Soul School and down to you, Lucy Davis, it gave me the kick up the bum that I needed.
Amazing.
So
amazing. So I think this is really important. It doesn't matter where you are around the world. Reach out to Claire. All of her details will be in the description field so that you know how to get hold of her. Obviously, if you book through March, God help you, Claire. As long as you get one of the slots, she might be able to fit you into April in her diary. But what you need to do is reach out to Claire directly. Please don't come to me because I have enough stuff to deal with without taking on Claire's stuff as well. Claire will respond to you. We'll give you her Instagram, we'll give you her email or her website or whatever she wants to give in the description field, and then you can reach out. But that's a bloody bargain. And honestly, how many times have I told you to put your bloody prices up? Like, this is an amazing offer, and I know it is just an offer, but please, you know, if any of you are keen, reach out to Claire and get yourselves booked in. She is a very, very powerful lady and somebody that I trust with my clients, and that's very rare that happens. Like, my team know it's very rare that I let anybody get involved in doing anything at any of my seminars and stuff like that. I have a few people that I honor and that I trust to work with me and to help like break people through and shift. But you know, and it's not an ego thing, it's just a purity thing. Like, we need to be making sure that nobody's trauma is being pushed onto other people. So I think it's absolutely amazing, Claire. I'm loving watching you bloom into this really beautiful flower that you were always intended to be. You know, like, I am so happy for you. I'm so excited. And I just love watching this unfold. And I'm really excited to see you put your bloody prices up come April, May time, and have your books full. And obviously you will be holding space at the next Soul School, which is on the 17th and 18th of June of this year. We are doing it online. We haven't actually spoken about this, I don't think, yet on YouTube. So I will be having a number of my team providing distance energy healing as I'm doing the meditations and everything that we would normally do in person. My team are going to be supporting me. So Claire will obviously be one of those people. She's obviously the beautiful host that I have for Soul School as well, because she does it so freaking well. Claire, is there anything else that you'd like to share, babes, about healing?
No, I just think that like we were saying, we've all got this within us, and if it takes for you to have the energy healing from somebody else to kickstart that within you, because I think that's what we're all here to do.
Yeah.
We help others, and then they will get that gift, and then
service to
just
others.
carry on.
Service to others is the most important.
Absolutely.
It's the most important thing. So Claire, I have loved doing this video with you, my babe.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome, and we'll have you back. Maybe what we'll do is we'll get some other energy healers as well. We all get together and do another beautiful video on this. I love talking about this stuff. It fires my soul up, and just opens up a whole world for people, and obviously introduces them to new people. So ladies and gents, thank you so much for joining us. Claire, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to let you get on with your life now for the rest of the day. I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm just sending you all so much love. Please do comment below, and don't forget, all of Claire's details will be found just under this video. Ladies and gents, we will see you in the next video.